Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews, and today we are taking a look at the brand new horror film Escape Room 2. I'm Dave G.
And I'm Lee G.
And like I said, Escape Room 2 is out now in cinemas, and this is a follow-on from the 2019 film Escape Room that surprised a lot of people. I know a lot of people who normally don't like what they call popcorn horror and went along and saw Escape Room and absolutely loved it. Now, Escape Room 2 picks up, I think it's about 12 months after the first film. Zoe Davis, played by Taylor Russell, still lives in absolute fear of what happened in the first film. So too does her friend Ben Miller, played by Logan Miller, who she helped escape from the first film. And of course, they know that the people that put them through the torture of the first film are still alive and still out there. Now, Zoe is meeting with a therapist who tells her that she should actually act on her hunch. Now, Zoe's hunch, for those that watched the first film, you'll remember that she was given some coordinates, which she has tracked down to a warehouse in New York City. But the big fear is she's terrified to get on a plane and go there because of the events of the first film. So they don't know how they're going to get there. Ben wants to drive her there, and they end up deciding that that is the best course of action, but they turn up and soon find themselves in another escape room situation that could cost them their lives. And this time, in it with them are people including a priest, Nathan, played by Aussie Thomas Cockrell, Brianna, who's a Insta kind of model, played by Anaya Moore. And yeah, it's basically the events of the first film happening again to people who all have survived escape room situations. So I know you liked the first escape room film. What did you think of number 2?
I like the way they brought it together, that they were able to get people who had been in the escape rooms before all in a tournament together again. All the champions, if you'd like, 6 people. Yeah, I like the premise of it. I like that it's creative and different to other movies that we've seen before. I like that you're not just stuck in the one room. Obviously, when people are kidnapped in movies, usually they're stuck in the one area for the whole movie. And so you, as an audience, also don't get to go on a journey where they've gotten through one phase and into another where it's different. Everything is the same. So this is brilliant in that they get through one room, you get to see another creative room and another creative puzzle, and see how their minds work to get out of the room that they're in. I think what I'd like to see though is some of the puzzles, they're so fast paced, and the timing for the competitors is very quick for them to get out of that room. And so because it's so fast paced, the thing that's not believable in some of these situations is that they would work out the puzzle before the end time. So when you're watching as an audience member, you kind of want to be involved in being able to try and work out the puzzle yourself, but it's a bit too fast paced for that. So you can't, as an audience member, be working it out. Basically you're dependent on them working it out to show you the outcomes of the movie, which is, I'm not saying that's the way it has to be. Just as an audience member, it would be good if you could kind of be involved in trying to figure that out for yourself. But yeah, so I think the movie is great. I love the different rooms. I love the clues that are left. But I think the only thing that makes it even more not believable is just the time frame that these people are given to get out. But yeah, I really love that it's a psychological thriller, and I love the way that they've set up each room.
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit of a feeling of almost like Saw and Final Destination. I think this movie's enhanced by the fact that director Adam Robital, who directed the first movie, is back on board. So is the major screenwriter Will Honley, who also wrote the first film. I think that's always a good sign for a franchise when you've got the same director and the same screenwriter coming back, because it makes the film feel more familiar. Also, unlike some of the Saw films, you had two characters carrying over into this as well. I know a lot of people, for me, kind of lost interest in Final Destination after Final Destination 2 because the others didn't feature the same characters from the first couple of films. So I like the fact that Taylor Russell and Logan Miller's characters do come back in this film. There's also a great twist in this film as well. I think if they just made this movie so that it felt like the first film and it mirrored it, I think I would have not enjoyed that. But this film had its own identity. It had a great twist in the film. There's an obvious setup to number 3 coming as well. Which is not surprising considering how well these first 2 films have done. And I was just reading before that number 2 is doing well at the box office despite the COVID restrictions. So definitely the studio is going to want number 3 coming out. But yeah, I think this is the kind of movie that people that do like not Fast and Furious, that do like Saw, do like Final Destination, are going to absolutely enjoy. In fact, I read before too that a lot of people that like Maze Runner are also liking this film as well. So yeah, it does have a little bit of a popcorn horror feel to it at times, but it also has that kind of Saw brutality in the way that some of the machines and everything operate in this. Like in one room that they go into, there's acid rain like pouring down on them. So yeah, it is creative. It frustrates me a little bit that you don't get to see more of the bad guys who's orchestrating this. Like it's a kind of secret organization. I kept on thinking all the way through it, but even when you're watching Resident Evil, the Umbrella Corporation is the big evil corporation behind it all, but you see members of the Umbrella Corporation. So I think it'd be one thing that would enhance it. But look, I really enjoyed this. I really, really thought that it tied in with the first film, and I can't wait to see where they go with the rest of the franchise.
I think if you haven't seen the first one, you would perhaps get away with watching this one without seeing the first one. There are some flashbacks to the first one, which gives you the overview of what happened anyway. I kind of liked how they did that within the movie. They gave you the information of what had happened before, without making it like Groundhog Day, that you've already seen that, you don't want to see that again, you're just ready for the new film. They've set that up really well. So, if you haven't seen the first one, maybe you'll miss out on a little bit, but I actually think you could take someone with you who hasn't seen the first one, and they would still, if they like this genre of movie, would still like this movie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's one of those movies that I think that I get absolutely fascinated with it also because of the characters themselves. Yeah, it's just one of those films where the characters are also interesting. I think that kind of ties in more so to the film as well and makes you feel more entrenched into it. And I was thinking that when I was looking through the cast list before that, it's not just the characters from the first film that happens with either. I found myself really barracking for Nathan as a character. I really liked his character, and you kind of want to see him make it through the rooms. But they also, the other characters that are in this as well, there are some characters that don't even, of course, given the nature of this film, don't make it past the first room. And you get a feel for their character as well. And it's like, wow, how does the writer manage to get so much characterization into a character that, like, is basically death fodder for the first room, whereas other horror movies, you don't get that much characterization in the entire film. Like, it's an amazing thing that they actually managed to do that. So I guess now the big question is, what are you going to give this one out of 5?
I will give it 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to go with 3 out of 5. I didn't mention this earlier, but the ending kind of annoyed me because it was not in that I saw the ending coming, but the actual ending itself felt like they added it after they'd been told that number 3 was coming, which I'm not 100% sure that is what happened, but that's what it felt like. It felt like they had an ending for number 2 in case number 3 wasn't greenlit, and then they wrote a different ending because it was. So, love the rest of the film though, so I've got to say I really suggest that people go along and see this. So 3 out of 5 from me, 3.5 out of 5 from you. I've been Dave G.
And I'm Lee G.
And we'll be back with another episode of He Says, She Says film reviews very, very soon.